long enough.
Yeah, good thing you chose an easy spot.
Chapter 3. We stared down the endless abyss, violet light lighting the stone for eternity. Wow, that's all my dad could say. Is that I still can't imagine you fighting here. It's not at all what I looked like. I nodded. It's a hard thing to explain. Just exactly what it's all like. But being there again reminded me of the battle that I'd had with Firusinaya Fotheava. Since then, we'd built a scaffolding down that peered down into the space, and the caverns breathed, the wind rushing in, making a whistling sound, and almost feeling like they were trying to drag me down with Firusinaya Fotheava. I said, yeah, it was quite the experience. I'd thought about taking my family down to the actual chamber where it had ended, but we hadn't built walkways down to there yet, and I could tell my mom was unsettled enough as it was. So turned around and went back, passing a few Serremeans on the way that were on their day off. They'd come to see the place because they hadn't seen it before. As we passed, they bowed, tears in their eyes, and I tried not to show how uncomfortable it made me feel. I didn't feel like I needed that kind of worship, or whatever you might call it. As we walked back up the steps, we passed the murals that were on the way, carved in stone and lit with violet ISO crystals. And they each showed my battle with Firusinaya Fotheava and everything that had happened, though in each mural I looked 10 years older than in real life. It was still so bizarre to me to have lived through that. As we came up and went back to the surface, we passed a beautifully done room where they were planning to put display cases of old Prophithian technology, reminders of everything that had been before Demias Cry was retaken by the Serremeans. We came back up to the surface and walked along the packed earth walkways, returning back to the center of town. We'd shown them, my parents, the village, and come around here. There wasn't a ton to show around the city, still so much rubble. But I wanted to show them the more beautiful parts of the city. There was still so much to do around the city, but I was so impressed with everything that we had done. Half of the Serremean population spent each day getting rid of the rubble and finding places to put it and cleaning it up so that we could rebuild a city for them. That had been made a lot easier once we'd realized that travelers make ISO green, and so we'd been able to construct anti-gravity transports to take things around. That had really helped with the transport of all of the concrete and stone and metal and cloth and corpses and everything that littered the city. But Scar and I took my parents to Keltis, the center of this city. And as we came around the corner, passing by lots that had been cleaned up and were ready to start construction, we came into view of the palace, the Keltis it rose white stone and dark gray, placed together and carved into one massive structure. The pillars were embedded with ISO, and the windows themselves were hexagonal crystal shape as well. As we got closer, we passed through the border of it, which didn't have a gate or a fence yet, but had soldiers there to make sure it stayed safe. As we walked across the cobblestone entry, like the cobblestone walkway, I marveled again at the colored stones and the fractals that they made. It was not nearly as overwhelming as I first thought that it would be hearing the plans for the place. They did a fantastic job of making it majestic and incredible and not overwhelming. We stepped inside. The structure by this point was finished and absolutely phenomenal. And as we walked towards the back of the property, I said, now I'd like to show you my favorite part of this whole world. Scar rolled her eyes at that. My mom had been absolutely floored from the moment she got here, in love with everything that she saw. As an artist, that she loved it all. And my dad had been impressed too, but I knew that this was going to take the cake for him. We stepped out the back doors, and I turned to watch their faces. I wanted to see their reactions. I knew this place better than anywhere else. I didn't need to see it again. And I said, here are the royal gardens. And we walked up onto an elevated walkway with arches arcing over us at different heights, sporting ivies and vines and all kinds of different things. The archway, or the walkway, stretched over the lower part of the gardens, and as we came down into the lower part, I showed them around. It was below the level of the property itself, which was nice now because it kind of hid all of the rubble and the garbage. And when it was going to be the center of the city, with buildings all over the place, it'd be nice to get down and away from that too. And those walls were all sported with different plants. Right now, the paths and the main area was just grass, but we had flowers of different kinds and grasses, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And my dad loved it. I was so happy. Scar again rolled her eyes and joked with my mom the whole time about how we were so weird, but royal gardens. And I told my dad all about my plans to take plants from other worlds and have an interdimensional garden. That was going to be my crowning achievement as a traveler. I was so excited. Oh my gosh. And he loved it. I wasn't able to show them everything before it started to get dark, and so we went inside to have dinner and sat in my dining hall / meeting room for now until we had an actual place to meet as a government. But yeah, we sat in the center of the long table, just in the 4 center spots, enjoying Serremean dinner. And my mom was super curious about about the dishes, and I explained that we were eating Trion, tight-packed dinner rolls with crusted cheese on top and a kind of broth soaked in the bottom. And we talked about Serremean, how wonderful it was, and just traveling itself. And they had so many questions about everything, especially just how siring works and traveling works and all of that, because I'd never really explained it to them. I explained that siring is basically just where I can tell the information of things. I can tell its history, its context, thoughts, and desires, and a little bit of future, though that was a harder thing to get as well. And I explained that we'd learned that it's a lot more finicky than we'd thought that it was. Siring isn't all powerful, like we'd thought a month ago. It was a lot more finicky. And I said it's always been hard to know because there's only been one active seer on Serremean until today. And Scar raised her eyebrows at that and said, "What do you mean till today?" And I said, "Oh, right, I haven't told you guys." I said, "Mom, you're a seer." And she said, "What?" And at that point, Scar said, "What? Both of your parents have abilities?" And my dad said, "What? I'm a seer too?" And I said, No, okay, hold on, let me explain. I'm sorry, I have been so busy, I forgot to tell you guys. And I only knew how to look for it for not too long. I said, "Mom, you're a seer. And your creativity comes through the connection that you have with worlds. And that's come out in part because of, like, as you've worked on your art, your painting, and everything that you do." I said, "Dad, you're a traveler." That's where both of us get our love of gardening for. And Scar snorted at that. I said, "No, just like, but you have these abilities." And that took them back. That was just a whole nother step to hear that they had interdimensional abilities. And I tried to explain that to them a little bit more and what exactly that meant. And my dad was excited at the idea of having a contest for interdimensional gardening. He said, so long as we don't bring invasive species to other worlds. I said, deal. And I said, yeah, you guys can visit whenever you want. And then I said what I'd been thinking about for a while but just hadn't said. I said, and if you want, you could stay here with us. And there was a moment of awkward silence, and I kept going. I said, they would love to have you. They love me, and to have the Emperor's parents there, the people would love you and have a place for you, and you could... we'd love to have you if you want to stay here and enjoy what we have. And my parents shared a look, and my mom took my dad's hand and he said, Reggie, we've talked about this, about the possibility since you've been explaining things to us. Our place is on Earth. And my mom nodded, and I honestly felt a little bit relieved about that they'd made their choice, I'd made my choice. And my mom cut in and said, don't think that doesn't mean we don't want to see you and visit you. And I said, yes, absolutely, whenever you want to. And Scar and I will absolutely come to have dinners at home and to visit you guys and make sure everything's okay and just spend time with you. And they said, good. We don't want to lose you, but we also don't want to stop you from who you can become. And I came around and we had a group hug, and Scar kind of sat there awkwardly until my dad said, as far as we're concerned, you're a part of this family too, young lady. Get in here. She chuckled and came and joined us in the hug, and I felt like everything was going to be all right. Didn't have everything figured out, but I had my family, and that was enough. End of chapter 3.